Welcome back to the Mid Podcast. Make sure you like, subscribe, and hit that bell for notifications. And also, don't be shy. Share it with that geek in your life. We all have one. Well, today we'll be talking about the episode 7 X Men. I don't know what to say. If you tuned in expecting another giant action episode filled with explosions every 30 seconds, well, Marvel said, hold my beer. Episode 7, Strangeland Savage Heart. It may not be the loudest episode of the season, but it might quietly become one of the most important. And that's not because this isn't really an episode about punching people, it's an episode about belief. Who deserves mercy? Can hatred be forgiven? What happens when Magneto's dream survives without Magneto? And perhaps the biggest question, is Nightcrawler actually the emotional center of the X-Men? So today, I will be diving deep into everything from hidden comic callbacks, symbolism, overlooked dialogue, Easter eggs we may have missed, and one detail that almost nobody is talking about. So, let's jump into our favorite animated series so far of the summer. So, at first glance, this feels like a classic adventure. And it isn't really about the Savage Land. We see dinosaurs, mutants, jungle fights. It was comic book insanity. But that was just the backdrop. The actual conflict? It's ideology. Marvel purposely places prehistoric nature beside advanced mutant philosophy. And you may ask yourself, well, why did they do this? Well, because the writers are asking us this question. Has mutant civilization actually evolved? Or has it simply found new ways to justify violence? That question drives every major scene. One thing fans may overlook, Exodus isn't just another villain, and he isn't acting like Magneto. He's acting like someone interpreting Magneto's religion. There's a huge distinction. In the comics, Exodus often treats Magneto less like a political leader and more like a prophet. Episode 7 leans heavily into that interpretation. Notice how every decision Exodus makes is justified by what he believes Magneto would have wanted, not what Magneto actually said. History is filled with movements where followers become more extreme than their founders. Marvel quietly mirrors that idea here. So, Graydon Creed has always represented inherited hatred. So, why does Creed matter more than people think? He isn't born hating mutants, he chose to hate mutants. That's what makes Nightcrawler's defense of him so fascinating. Nightcrawler knows Gaiden despises mutants, yet he still protects him. That's the exact opposite of Exodus. One believes justice requires mercy, the other believes justice requires punishment. Both can be true. Neither character is really fighting Creed, they're fighting each other's philosophy. So, can we admit something? And I think we all may have been taking notice over the last, I don't know, 6 episodes. But episode 7 kind of brought this to light. Nightcrawler has quietly become the MVP of the show. He steals this episode, and not because of his flashy teleportation, which is really cool, but because of restraint. Most superhero stories reward anger. Well, Nightcrawler, he rewards compassion. That's significantly harder to write. And throughout the episode, he refuses to let morality become situational. His beliefs stay constant. That's incredibly rare in superhero storytelling. I think Nightcrawler may be becoming one of my favorite characters in the show. A few Easter eggs you may have missed, and this is the fun stuff. Easter egg number one, Exodus's comic accuracy. His speech pattern mirrors his 1990s comic dialogue almost perfectly. He sounds regal, religious, and absolutely convinced he's right, which sounds like most politicians. Marvel resisted modernizing him, thank the Lord, and I believe this was the right and only choice they had. Easter egg number two, the Acolytes lineup. Several background acolytes are pulled almost directly from classic comic rosters. Hardcore comic readers immediately recognized them. Easter egg three, Colossus flashback. The opening involving Colossus isn't just emotional, it's establishing why Colossus is vulnerable to Exodus's ideology. Loss creates followers, and hope creates leaders. Easter egg number four, the Savage Lands accuracy. The dinosaurs, the jungle architecture, even several rock formations intentionally resemble classic X-Men comic panels from the 1980 Savage Land stories. I will have to say, Marvel Animation clearly did their homework on that one. Easter egg 5, and the one that sent my son spiraling, Gambit's shadow. Although Gambit isn't the focus, his presence still hangs over every decision. The season continues planting emotional breadcrumbs regarding his larger role. So, is it now time I have to stop saying Gambit is dead? Easter egg 6, Creed's political campaign. Look at it very closely. His campaign isn't merely anti mutant, it's designed to make fear feel respectable. Marvel subtly comments on how prejudice often enters politics through language rather than outright violence. All right, hidden themes that you may have missed. So, while everyone is talking about fights, I'm more interested in the conversations. Did you notice something? Every major character believes they're saving mutant kind. Nightcrawler, Exodus, Colossus. Even Creed believes he's saving humanity. Nobody thinks they're the villain. That's fantastic writing. Great villains rarely wake up saying, "Oh, time to be evil today." They believe they're right. And episode 7 of X Men 97 totally understood that. So, now it is time for a few predictions and where I see things going. So, this episode kind of feels like the calm before absolute chaos erupts, and as you can see, I am the queen of chaos, and I love chaos. Marvel is clearly positioning Apocalypse, Gambit's continuing arc that he may or may not be dead, the fracture within mutant ideology, Creed's political rise, the future of the Acolytes, and all of these appear to be converging toward this season's final episodes, which I am so sad about. So, episode 7, yeah, probably left our viewers divided, which is fine. Some wanted nonstop action, others wanted bigger cameos, but I think this episode will age incredibly well because years from now, people won't remember every punch. They'll remember Nightcrawler standing between hatred and revenge. They'll remember Exodus proving that good intentions can become dangerous when filtered through phantasm. They'll remember Colossus struggling between grief and hope. And they'll remember that X Men has never been at its best when it's simply about mutants fighting mutants. It's at its best when it's asking the uncomfortable questions about humanity. This wasn't just another superhero episode, it was a story about conviction, forgiveness, leadership, and about that thin line separating faith from become fanatic. That is why I think Strangeland Savage Heart may end up being one of the defining episodes of season 2. So, thanks for listening, and if you enjoyed this, let me know your biggest takeaways from episode 7. Tell me which Easter eggs you caught that everyone else seemed to have missed. And until next time, remember the world of the X Men. The greatest battles aren't always won with power, they're won with principles. Make sure you like and subscribe to the Mid Podcast. And be on the lookout. I will be dropping my House of Dragon review later this week because I have yet to watch it because WWE decided to have a 2-night SummerSlam and I had to watch SummerSlam last night. So, until next time, I am your favorite geeky host and I will see you guys later.